Morning, everyone. This is the regular scheduled meeting of the Board of Selectmen of the town of New Canaan on Monday, October 31, 2022, at 8:30 a.m. Before we start, we have an item to add, which is I move we add to the agenda a Waveney Wood Rail replacement item. Do I have a second?
Second here.
All in favor?
Aye.
Minutes from the last meeting on October 18th. Any comments or corrections?
I gave one correction to Tucker and just one comment. It's
What's the correction? We can't approve something we don't.
it's a double set, it's a sentence repeated twice.
Oh, okay.
That
was a really important comment.
I know, it's just, whenever it's a small edit, I just give it directly to her. But I did have a comment, and that is that, just as a reminder, we had approved 2 weeks ago, the full-time employees, but I was listening to the town council meeting when you mentioned that we have a new part-time employee for the wedding planner.
We don't bring part-time employees to the Board of Selectmen.
We have in the past.
I don't-
Have you changed the process?
No, I thought.
The gardener, for instance, is a part-time position.
We
that
don't
was-
ordinarily bring part-time employees to the Board of Selectmen.
We've brought them in the past. Have you changed the policy?
The last one we brought was.
The gardener. It was in the last year. Anyway, if you change the policy, you need to.
We hire lots of, the town clerk hires part-time. We don't bring part-time employees to the Selectmen. That's the whole.
There have been in the past some persons brought.
Mhm.
Again,
Anyway, I just think it's part of the, let's keep the process the same, or if there's going to be a change, a reason why, but I think when we have
Well,
full-time and we have part-time.
I'd like to know
Yeah.
more time, just,
Relative to a budget and
Even-
so forth. So
yeah.
anyway, so if we can just check those that we have not approved yet that are full, part-time and bring them forward in 2 weeks, that'd be great.
I mean,
Thank you.
presumably it's an expenditure of more than $10,000
Yeah.
ultimately, right? So,
it's got to be in the budget, but I thought our policy was, we discussed this, we don't ordinarily bring part-time employees to the Board of Selectmen, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's make it consistent. Okay, I have
agree.
no further comments.
Was that on the minutes?
Yes, I brought it up because there were full-time employees that were approved in the minutes. And I was reminded when you brought up the part-time employee at the town council meeting, so
Okay, well, I move to approve the minutes. Second,
second.
go
all in
ahead.
favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous. Thank you. Public comments. Members of the public are welcome to provide comments to the Board of Selectmen on agenda topics scheduled for review and a vote. Comments submitted electronically should go to bosdistribution@buchananCD.gov and we'll read them before the end of the meeting. I don't see any members of the public here. So, this is going to be a quick, brief meeting this morning. I don't see anybody send any comments. Okay. Item number 3, Steve Banco Pool. Who's doing this? John? Good morning, John.
Morning.
So, with anything that's 20 years old, there's definitely upkeep. One of the things that happened the end of the summer was the pump motor went on the kiddie pool umbrella feature. And we were very fortunate to find one of 3 motors in the country to rebuild that pump. So the main pool has one pump that runs, and if that pump ever goes down, we have to shut the pool down until a new pump is available. The reason we're bringing this to you now is it's probably going to be a couple month lead time to get a replacement pump. So in the case of both of these, we want to replace the pumps, put in a brand new pump, because the pump part itself is 20 years old. The motors have been rebuilt, and then we'll keep the old pump and motors in both cases on the shelf. So if anything happens July 15th, we can switch it out and maybe in the matter of a day or so. We also have some other maintenance on the kiddie pool. We have a leaking gate valve. We have the automatic chlorinator that needs repairs. We have to paint and patch the kiddie pool before we open up next spring. And then on the main pool, we got some leaking stuff. We need the automatic fill system for the pool needs to be rebuilt. One of the big things is replacing the sand in the filters. It's 20 years. It's time to replace the sand so that we filter better. And then, of course, the big issue is replacing the pump. And then we also have two places where we have leaks. We have leaks in the gutter drain and also what's known as the surge tank, which is part of the whole pool system. But we're losing a substantial amount of water and time to fix it.
Are there any other pieces of equipment that need to be evaluated and perhaps either replaced or monitored for?
Monitored, yes. Right now, we've gone through everything to look to see what needs to be redone. No, like the pool heaters, right, are good shape, but they need to constantly have spring service to make sure they're working.
Sure. Right.
How was this summer financially, John, at the pool?
Very well. I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but we sold our out of town passes, which helps a lot. And we were consistent with past years on the number of family New Canaan passes and everything. So it was a very successful year as far as the pool. We didn't close one day for the whole day.
Really?
That's mainly due to weather. We had some times where we had to close.
It didn't never rain, so
lightning, but we could open back up, or it was at the end of the day, that type of thing. So it was a good year.
and this is in the budget,
It's
We're-
not in the.
this is not in the
budget.
budget.
It would
Okay,
have
so
to
this is
come out of the contingency.
okay.
Isn't there a pool fund, a Waveney pool fund?
Yes, so it would come out of the Waveney pool contingency per se, not the
Okay.
town's contingency.
Well, there's not an operating contingency for the pool fund has a capital reserve.
Yes,
And so this would be capital.
it would be capital repairs, I believe.
Should be.
Yeah.
The
And this
pool,
is, and we're gonna have, over the next few years, we're gonna have other repairs that need to be done. The pool decking is showing concrete of 20 years old in the northeast, cracking and we've been patching it but we foresee we'll need to be replacing that over time.
although the pool fund has just gone cash flow positive by the principal being paid off of the bonds. So
Exactly.
there's a huge swing this year.
Yep.
Coming up. So,
Right.
Good.
okay. I move we approve this request from the Park and Recreation Department to enter into a contract with J&J Pool and Concrete Services for the total amount of $114,235 as described by John for repairs to the kiddie and main pool at Waverly Park, actually the Steve Benko Pool.
Second here.
Further discussion? All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, John. Tiger, good morning. Tiger, why don't you do the additional item first, Waveney wood rail replacement?
Morning.
Morning.
Thank you for adding this item. I appreciate it. So this item is actually a replacement of the wood guide rail that's on the northern side of the center parking lot, the girls softball field parking lot. So it's the guide rail that separates the parking lot from the girls softball field itself. It's in quite disrepair. So we went to Gannon Fence for a price. He's done the majority of the wood rail replacement in Waveney Park. Now that we're repaving that area, we've repaved that area. The grades have changed slightly, so the rail would have to be replaced anyways, even if it wasn't past its useful life. He gave us a very good price. I looked at the comparison pricing from when we did the opposing section, the western rail. His pricing is in line with that, and that's a 10-year-old item at best. So he came in with $12,500. I added a 15% contingency just to be sure for $1,875 for a total of $14,375. Funds are currently available for the project. So I'd like to do this in conjunction with the repaving and then have that area all nice.
Mhm.
Any questions?
None.
On here.
I move we approve request from Public Works and the Parks Department to enter into a contract with Gannon Rustic Fence Company in the amount of $14,375 as described by Tiger for the replacement of wood railing. Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Tiger. And
Thank you on that. The next item is the sale of a Get-About vehicle, in essence for charity. Get-About buys their vehicles, sells them to the town. We insure them. But then in the end, since they're looking to sell this one, the monies will go back to the Get-About to help them continue to replenish their stock. The vehicle itself is a 2014 Dodge Caravan. It requires some extensive repairs. However, they were able to find several local repair companies that are willing to not only purchase the vehicle, but then repair it and then donate it to St. Vincent's Hospital for use. So we think it's actually a really nice situation that we'd like to see go forward. So we'd like to sell the vehicle to Automotive Restoratives for $4,000. The monies will then go back to the Get-About so that they can replenish their stock. And we'll see this vehicle repurposed for St. Vincent's Hospital.
Can you remind us how we sell these vehicles, the process?
The majority of them, well, in this case, depends upon the pricing, right? So if the majority of the time we look to trade in, so we get a trade in with it. If we're not satisfied with the trade in, then we'll go either sell it off of Gov Deals or we'll look to Kelly Blue Book, Carfax, things of that nature to see exactly what we can get for the vehicle. We have our mechanics look at them extensively and they tell us exactly what they feel the vehicle is worth. So whether or not it's a trade-in or an outright sale, they'll tell us whether it's a good deal or not a good deal for us. In this situation, we're going by basically the Blue Book value of this vehicle, given off to Automotive Restoratives.
So
From what
you-
our mechanics are basing, the feeling that how much this vehicle is worth at this present moment in time, given the work.
So the sale process is online or?
No, the majority of the time it's with the vendor that we're purchasing the next vehicle with,
Okay, trade in,
trade in.
right.
The majority of them, almost 95%
Okay.
of them are that.
Okay,
Some of them either we've used it so long that, it's not useful and we're trying to almost get rid of it for scrap, or we
Right.
have people that want it. The next item up is in essence that we have a vehicle that, we're just trying to get rid of off the books and it's worth a certain amount of money. And then anything under $1,000, the sale is approved by the first selectman. Anything over 1,000 comes to you. So most of the time it's in a trade.
thanks.
You're welcome.
other questions? I move reapprove the request from Public Works to authorize the sale of a town-owned 2014 Dodge Grand Caravan for $4,000 so that it can be donated to St. Vincent's Hospital as described by Tiger. Second.
Second.
Further discussion?
I forgot
All-
the arrow.
All in
Cap.
favor?
Aye.
Thank you. So this next item, Nick, to your point, is
Yeah.
sale. It's a 2002 Tahoe.
How many miles has this one got?
I don't have that written exactly what it is, but
$1,200.
yeah, it needs rear shocks, rear tires. It has an oil leak in the top of the engine and it's missing the center console. I did write this memo incorrectly. It's an $1,800 price that we gained off of CarMax and the Kelly, which then rotates through the Kelly Blue Book for that. It's being purchased by one of our mechanics. And has the expertise and the knowledge to actually turn this around and use it as his vehicle. He has quite a drive to come in and his vehicle is an all-wheel drive. So he's hoping to use this for the winter for his purposes to get to work. So I think it's actually a good thing to have happen. So we'd like to see this vehicle, this 2002 Chevy Tahoe, sold to Enid Zaffa, one of our mechanics, for $1,800.
Question, when we make that available to one of our employees, is that offered up to every employee and there's
We don't
a,
necessarily offer it up to every employee. They come to us and say, I'd like to purchase this vehicle. We do ask around, but for the majority of the time, most of the vehicles are not worthy. In this case, he has a specific skill. So he has a specific skill set. I wouldn't recommend it to others who don't.
Mhm.
We can certainly ask across the board, going forward, but the majority of it's on a one-off basis. The majority of the employees know the vehicles. They know whether we're getting rid of them at the time. And if they express an interest, then we look to try to, help that out.
Okay.
Was this a Board of Ed Tahoe?
This was, I believe this was a police Tahoe. I don't think it was a Board of Ed Tahoe. The police use Suburbans. I'm sorry, the Board of Ed uses Suburbans. I think this is a police Tahoe itself.
Yeah, I mean, there may be gearheads in other parts of the town. Not just Public Works and could be Board of
We
Ed.
can
could be-
certainly try. It's, if most of the time we're looking at just getting it out of our lot. To be perfectly honest, with you, it's just taking.
No, I think he's a good buyer because he can actually fix all these things. But my point is that, there may be other people have that skill and could be health department, could be, wherever.
Okay, we can try.
I don't know if it's more of an HR issue, but
I move we approve the request from Public Works to authorize the sale of a town-owned 2002 Chevrolet Tahoe for $1,800 to an employee as Tiger described. Second,
second,
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. This next item is an extension of our existing contract for our local roads. This is to actually mill and pave Upper Elm Street and Park Street. Upper Elm Street from Park to Grove and Park from Elm to the Park Street parking lot here. It's actually being done this morning. We had enough money in our contingency line for the project to go forward. So when there was an opening in the contractor's schedule, especially considering getting close to the end of the season, last week, I jumped on the opportunity to have him come in. He gave me a very favorable price. And I jumped on the opportunity to have him come in and mill it and then reclose it. But I just wanted the board's blessing, so to speak. So at the
But
time,
this is being paid for by Aquarian and by Eversource Gas in part.
in part, yeah, the half of it's being paid by Aquarian. So Elm Street is being reimbursed half of the cost by Aquarian. And then the entire cost of Park Street is being reimbursed from Eversource Gas and Aquarian 50/50. Our agreement with Aquarian is 50% of the mill and pave costs for any road that they put a water main on. We come back and pave, they pay us 50% of those costs. Originally our agreement with Eversource was that they would pay for the repaving of the road. But since Aquarian's only is giving us 50%, it's only fair to ask Eversource to give the opposing 50% and not make money on the deal, just to have it paved. So yes, there'll be a reimbursement. Aquarian's, they'll be cutting us a check shortly. They cut a check right at the end of the season for all the work that they did in the year. And then we'll look to reconcile with Eversource as we move forward.
Delighted to see this on the agenda, given the location of the, people are wondering, like, wait, is it going to be like this all winter?
No,
But it sounds like we've got good weather coming up this week.
Yeah, well, they're out there now. That's the whole,
Yeah.
we would have been here last week, but they had to finish up at Waveney first. And
But it's warm enough when the sun comes out and
is.
still good.
it's 40 and rising. It's what the temperatures need
Right.
to be. So we're right in that window, but
Good.
we've had some hard frost. We've had some other issues. So it gets to the point where it gets a little dicey to open a road. And
Right.
close it.
But this will be done when?
This will be done today.
Today.
Yeah.
If we approve the
We better
structure.
Well, I had money in the contingency. It's just now I just need the full blessing. Yeah.
I just had a quick accounting question really for Anne, perhaps. So when we get the reimbursement, does it come in as revenue or is it as a cost reimbursement for our income statement? Cost reimbursement. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Thanks.
Makes sense.
Further questions? I move we approve the request for Public Works to extend the contract with FGB Construction in the total amount of $98,816 as described by Tiger for the milling and paving of Elm Street, Upper Elm Street and Park Street as Tiger described, to be paid for in part by Eversource Gas and Aquarian Water.
Second here.
Further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tiger. Playhouse Theater Fire Service.
So Bill, the last time we saw each other was at the fire call at the Playhouse.
I know, right?
What, any
Things I gotta do.
costs associated with that?
Excuse me,
Any costs associated with it, that fire call?
Yeah. a little bit. and they had to do some cleanup and repair work. I think the quote was not to exceed 7,500.
Yeah.
So,
Did you have a fire?
Yeah,
I had a, well, it wasn't actually a fire, but it was a
Smoke.
blow back on the furnace at the playhouse. Showing his age.
Yeah.
So. But we got it under control. It was a little excitement, but we got it under control. All right, first item we're doing is
Fire.
fire service. This one's from Mac. So, Aquarium Water Company saw the new water main up Elm Street, and in doing so, everybody up the road has to tie into the new water main. We just had to be doing a project where we have to run new services in, and the current fire line that goes from the water main into the building is too small to code, so we have to up it to a 6-inch. So this piece, Aquarium brings it to the curb with the valves. I have another approval somewhere in here, I think, to have somebody bring it from the curb into the building. And Mac Fire is going to install the fire equipment on the inside of the building and then tap it into the current system temporarily until we get this project going. Fire Marshal and I, after the episode the other day, want to keep the system active throughout the construction project. So this in essence will allow us to rebuild the whole new fire system that's going to go in the building by keeping the old one still active through the whole construction project. So we'd like to have Mac Fire approved to go ahead and do this piece. And it requires like putting the double check valve in and some fire equipment. And then there's going to tap into the old one.
so you've got two different contractors doing two different things, right? One's bringing
Yeah,
one's doing the interior tie-in,
yeah.
and the other's doing the installation of the water main.
Yeah, so the water main, I don't have it on agenda, I have an old agenda. AJ Penna will bring it. AJ Penna's doing all the work for the water company, and their contract with the water company is just to bring it to the curb. The town owns from the curb box to bring it in the building.
Well, no, Mac is
Mac
bringing,
is strictly a fire sprinkler company, and once the fire pipe is inside the new mains inside the building, then Mac Fire comes in, puts their valves on, all their flapper valves and all their fancy equipment
okay,
to tap it in. Yeah, there is,
okay.
yeah, but he has a different responsibility. It's kind of odd, but that's how it goes. So we'd like to get approval for the Mac Fire to at least get that piece of it going. So that we can have continual fire protection. The water company, last conversation was they want to try to get everybody on the new main before Thanksgiving. So it kind of put a rush to everything, and it was a kind of a curveball, to be honest with
When
you.
you say everybody, what do you mean?
The whole street.
The whole street.
Yeah, that's why you see Elm Street's all tore up. At night, they're coming in, they're tying in all the stores and everybody.
That's
So-
at the owner's cost?
No, so when they're going up the street, what they're doing is they're tying their old service into the new main. In our case, because we're doing a renovation project and I need upgrades part of the project,
Mhm.
I couldn't tie into their old service. It just wouldn't make sense to do that. Only to go back and rip up the whole sidewalk and street again in the spring. It's a mess now. I talked to Tiger. He wants to finish his bump out of sidewalk. I'm going to try to get everything done and into the building so we can finish Elm Street. You know, and it comes spring, I'll have a nice clean road and I'm done. Everything's in my building. Then we can just do a renovation.
What is the tie-in now? 4-inch?
Yes.
So we're going to 4 to 6.
Yeah, just two lines. That's for fire. Right now it's currently a 4-inch. And the domestic is currently, I think, a 1-inch. And we're gonna be boosting the fire to a 6-inch and the domestic to a 3-inch.
No further questions. I move we approve both requests. One is for Mac Fire Protection for $18,759 for the tie-in from the street to the building for upgraded water fire service. And then the other one is the AJ Pena for a total of $21,864 for the new water main for the renovation project at the Playhouse. Do I have a second for both?
I'll second.
Further discussion?
None
All
here.
in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous.
Then we have the town hall AC replacement of the server room. As you are aware that you're walking by, I have that temporary unit in there. There's 2 units in the server room. One of them failed over the summer. Understand that these units run 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, year round. To keep that room cool. As you can feel the hot air coming out, it's like that consistently all winter even. So we'd like to replace it with a in-kind unit. Found one, we think, so far. They're very hard to find because of the world we live in today.
Oh.
So we'd like to move forward and just get this one replaced.
When would that get here, Bill? Since it's an AC.
Well, I was told it's in the warehouse. Things change a lot, and that's what I'm being told. It's in the warehouse and that we can get it fairly quick.
So that replaces the original, I mean, when we did the renovations.
Different
for town hall.
manufacturer, we're going to Mitsubishi, I think it was a Jitsu's up there. And we're gonna leave the old one just in place and bend it in place for now. And just get this one installed over the server room. There's gonna be a roof penetration and some electrical work that's not part of this, but it's small dollar amounts compared to
Is
these.
this in the budget?
This is not in the budget. This
Not in the budget?
Not in the budget, no, sir. It just it failed on us unexpectedly over the summer. And we think the humidity, high humidity's actually had a little bit to do with it. It started spitting out a lot of water.
Any questions? I move we approve the request from Public Works to enter into a contract with M.A. Garamella for a total of $31,500. The installation and replacement of a new ductless split AC unit for the town hall server room. Second,
Second.
for the discussion, all in favor?
Bye.
Thank you, folks. Enjoy your day.
You too.
Tiger's back for. What is this?
Entrance.
This is Catherine. Okay,
Hello. So this next item is project for the entrance drive beautification project at Waveney. I'm joined on Zoom by Phoebe Knowles, the executive director of the Waveney Park Conservancy. So if you have questions for Phoebe, she'll be able to help as well.
this is totally funded by the Conservancy.
Yes, so and as part of our partnership between the two groups, between DPW and the Conservancy, we went out to bid for the Waveney Park 2022 entrance drive beautification project. We received 2 bids back, one from Freddie and Company and one from Camberary Masonry. When this has to do with a beautification and planting of the front entrance drive all the way up from South Avenue to the 4-way intersection at the base of the hill, and then a portion of work at the Lapham entrance as well. There's a substantial amount of plants coming in. The project was designed by Catherine Herman Associates. And there's a substantial amount of plants that need to be installed. I reached out to both vendors to see whether or not the materials would be available and whether or not they would actually be able to do the work this season.
Mhm.
I contacted Freddie and Company 3 separate times and I didn't receive a call back. Given that fact and given the fact that Camberary Masonry responded immediately, I did point of references. I left a message on their office phone. I called the local landscape architect to find the cell phone number. I called, he answered me. And then 10 minutes later, I got a call from the office saying he's out in the field. Here's his cell phone number. So not only did I contact from the office, but I got a contact from the contractor. And then when I asked him to check on the availability, half an hour later, he came back with an answer. So given the responsiveness of it and given the fact that there's only a small difference between the two, we would like to go with Camberary Masonry for the $145,887.50. The Conservancy itself voted for the larger amount as well, so they approved the funding on their end. So we'd like to award the contract for $145,887.50 with a 15% contingency of $22,000 for a project total of $157,887.50. I state that the project costs are being shared between the town and the Conservancy. It can be driven completely with current Conservancy funds, or we can deem this as one of ours and help fund it as well.
I'm confused by that, Tiger. I thought this was all Conservancy.
That's fine. I wrote it as shared just to make sure to have the discussion, but at present, our feeling originally was that it would be driven completely by the Conservancy, and they're willing to spend the entire amount for the beautification. So if you want to.
Which is incredibly generous. Can you describe for the public, Tiger, just very briefly, what the project
It's in
entails.
essence a planting plan to beautify the entrance from South Avenue into the four-way intersection of the base of the hill. So on both sides of the driveway itself, there'll be plants installed. The majority of them native, in fact, will be bypassing. There's a couple of small wetland areas in the area. We'll be bypassing those. There's approximately 5,000 or 7,000 ferns being installed along with it. So
Say that again, 7,000?
1,000 ferns, that are part of the project itself. So in essence, it's a beautification of the entrance drive to make it pop. Right now, you drive in and it's just whatever was either A, planted long ago, or B, was basically a volunteer, right? It came up because of, it was able to seed and grow at that time. This is to kind of fill in all those gaps and make the entrance drive, give it some color during the year, some character throughout the year. So we think it's a worthy project, and the Conservancy is it was one of their top 5 going forward in their master plan as to what they wanted to see, for Waveney itself.
Has this gone to Park and Rec already?
Yes.
And it will go to the town council then as well? Under the MOU?
I didn't envision it going to the council, to be honest, only because it's not necessarily changing the land. We're just planting on it. I didn't go to plant a tree, so we didn't change the driveway location. We didn't add an amenity that the town might have to maintain per se. So I didn't envision it going to the council, but we can certainly.
Well, what's the timing on this?
Timing is quick, so he'll order. I told him to hold on the order of the plants until half an hour from now, so I could call him and say that it was approved. And the moment it was approved, he could order the plants. But he has the plants are available, and he'll be looking to come in here within the next couple of weeks and replant everything.
Further questions?
Are these a local company, or where are these plants coming from? Are they here?
Well, I can't tell you exactly where they're being sourced. Some are not sourced from nearby.
Okay,
Camberary and Freddy's are both local companies.
okay.
Camberary itself is out of Bedford Hills, New York. They did the original work on the trail section from Waveney when we did the first part of the work with the Conservancy, the first project the Conservancy ever did, coming out of the house and heading down the hill, that trail section, and then the one heading down the trail. So there was 2 phases, the flexi paved trail at the top and then the trail going down. Camberary himself did those.
They
2
do
projects.
the bridges too?
No, the bridge structure so then from the 4-way going out to South Avenue, those projects were won by Peter Lonnie, and Peter Lonnie did those projects.
That's right. I remember Camberary. So have they done things since?
No, they've been quite busy, and we haven't had anything that's been pretty much in their bailiwick. We were hoping that they were going to take up the service entrance project itself, but at the time that I went out to bid, they were completely swamped with that type of work. So when we go back out to bid, we'll be requesting a pricing from them as well for that, because that's in their purview. It's one of their specialties.
Any further questions? I move we approve the request from Public Works in conjunction with Waveney Park Conservancy to enter into a contract with Camberary Masonry for the total of $167,887.50 as described by Tiger for the beautification of the entrance drive off South Avenue to Waveney Park.
Second?
For the discussion, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tiger. Contracts, there's a bunch of contracts on the tablets.
I just had, I think I have 2. One was actually Tiger on the RKW land surveying, which is Talmadge Hill. Is there a project going on there?
We're looking for locations to put in a police firing range.
Okay.
Potential locations for that. So we needed some wetland work in the area, and then we needed to have those flaggings surveyed so that they'll be in perpetuity. We'll know exactly where the wetland areas are. So that's that due diligence, trying to find a potential location for a firing range in town.
Okay, so that's gonna go through the regular review process,
So
but you're
we'll-
just trying to get ahead.
Just
And
trying to
doing
find,
the wetlands.
find suitable locations before we
Yep.
bring them forward.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's all.
okay. And can you just say a word about maybe this is not under you, the Turner construction for the public safety at the new library?
That's not under my.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the question I had this morning. What is that item? Why are we paying for the library's security system?
That I don't know.
It's security, so I think we
It looks like it's going into the street lamps, like as a bottom. So I don't know if
that's
that's what I assumed it.
that's the item I asked Pam to check on. I didn't get an answer, so. Anyway, I'm not sure I actually signed it, but maybe I did if it's on here.
I think you did.
I want to know more about it as well, so. We'll look into that one.
Is that you?
Yep. How much is it for?
6,073.
Tax overpayments, there's one real estate, and a bunch of automobile.
Just want to thank whoever put them right size so we can actually read the text. So thank you for that. Appreciate it.
I move we approve the tax overpayments.
Second here.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That concludes our agenda. I will make a couple comments. One is, as I always say, we continue to do COVID boosters and vaccinations weekly at Irwin House. And our COVID cases are relatively few, which is good for now. And the health department also has flu shots available after school hour. Otherwise, we're going to file for a reconsideration of the housing moratorium with the Department of Housing by Wednesday, I believe there's the deadline, and I think that's all I have.
And on the the housing filing, which I support, what is the timing like by statute in terms of turnaround?
I don't know what the reply, I don't know if they have a
Apply?
period of time like they had for the 90 days, but they
No.
it provides for both reconsideration and an appeal to court, and we probably will do an appeal to court as well if we have to. They clearly have a crazy interpretation of their statute, so.
Another matter, I drove by several times. The Wayside Cross looks fantastic. So was that any surprises in that when they had to redo the I guess the base, and then they had to reestablish it? Was it just a matter of straightening up the pins, or? And it's beautifully cleaned. So congratulations to all. I think it looks great.
Well, kudos to Kevin because he found the company, which
Yeah.
is excellent. Rugo Stone. Now they actually had to, we pulled her off her moorings. They took the weight of the cross off and suspended it, and then cut the dowels themselves. So they cut the dowels in place, then laid her down, and then actually had to remove the dowels that were there. They were actually 1 inch in diameter brass. So that's why we didn't see any rusting. We didn't see any corrosion. So way back when, it was a nice long, approximately 12 inches long of a dowel, 6 and 6. It's really like 6 and 4, but a little bit further of a dowel that went into both. So they cut it out, drilled it out in place. So the stone was actually in really good shape. They had to work quite diligently to try to get the dowels themselves out. And then they put in 2 stainless steel pins. They drilled a little bit further into the upper cross area and below, and then put in 2 stainless steel pins and reset it back because they felt that utilizing the existing holes would be allow them to get the alignment correct. They had to do a couple of small little repairs to it, cleaned it off with a cleaner called D2 cleaning with a pressure washer. They did a fantastic job. They would have they needed one piece of piece of equipment, a chain fall that they thought they had with them. They didn't, or else they would have been done a day earlier because they had to drive to New Haven to get it to come back. So they lost all that time in the travel. Other than that, they would have been done a day early. I thought they did a fantastic job.
Beautiful,
And
yeah.
Yeah, but we had heard that, upwards of, 6 figures this could take, and it could crumble and this and that. And so I'm delighted
it was actually, it was
to see the
actually-
end result. What, I guess 2 questions. What is the all-in cost now? And my second question is who's paying for it?
I haven't gotten the final bill from the contractor, but we don't anticipate a change order for what the work that they had to do.
What's that amount?
Around 31,000 with contingency. I think there was a small amount of money paid to brace it originally. I think around just under $3,000. So that would be, and now we have to go back to the insurance company and say, okay, this is how much it cost us, and see whether or not, where our deductible falls, because it's a property damage claim.
We've made a claim on this already.
Made a claim. It's we made a property damage claim. However, there's we have a fine art sub policy.
Mhm.
So we have to see exactly what that deductible is for fine art. They're considering this to be fine art. So whatever that, they're looking into what that deductible is, then we'll have to, take that off the top and look at the remainder, the balance.
Good.
So we have a $25,000 deductible on our property. So we know that, it's going to cost us at least 25,000, but we'll have to see what the deductible is for fine art
That's per incident.
per incident.
Did we find anything in the survey that they were looking for? Was it,
They did the digital scan.
Digital scan.
We haven't gotten the file yet,
Okay.
but that was quite interesting to watch, because as they put nodes all on the cross itself, all throughout it, and then basically had a wand in essence, and then a laptop, and you could see it being built on the laptop screen as they were going through it. So you could see if you had to wash back over an area to get better detailing, and they were able to get the inscriptions. So they said that they were going to be able to build the inscriptions into it as well. So so we'll see when we receive that file as to what else they found, and then we'll have a permanent record of it. God forbid something happens.
so no location of a time
Capsule, right?
We didn't look.
Oh, you-
We just put from where we could see everything live, the time capsule was nowhere to be found. So we just put the base back in place and replaced the cross on top. We didn't go excavating around or underneath. That'll have to wait for another day.
Well done.
Thank you.
And then the last thing I had was just the timing of the public hearings and when we'll be looking at the cell tower.
Yeah, the 824, Kevin, and I'm following up with Kath. What's the process here? I mean, I think a week ago tonight, P and Z approved the 824 as being POCD compliant, subject to certain provisos, as Chairman Goodwin put. And I believe there were at least 2 conditions. I think it was a third, but 2 of the conditions were a review of the.
They can make recommendations. They made 2 recommendations.
So you see those not as conditions,
they
but
can't-
as,
they were advised they can't make conditions on a
okay.
824.
But you're in favor of those, following those recommendations?
Absolutely, yeah, that's right. So I think the town council will have a public hearing probably in their November meeting. They may have more than one public hearing if
Good.
necessary, because it's now in their court.
So they will, because I know it was, they mentioned both the Board of Selectmen and the town council doing the work. They'll do the laboring, or in terms of these 2
No, we have to,
studies, or will we?
Holman Towers. and
Pay
we
for
have-
that, or-
we have to get the information that they're going to
Okay.
require. So working on that.
Okay.
And then, so
The 2 studies being the coverage study and the health study, I think, in shorthand, right? Was it? And then I think there was some, at least a few of some of the P and Z members wanted those to be independent. And so not just have,
well, Senator
Holman-
Line was hired by Tom Teslick. And I didn't realize actually he had a relationship with them going back to the Silver Hill Hospital Tower.
but maybe somebody other than Centerline, I think.
Well, Centerline, is independent. I mean, someone said these what do they call our engineers work for all the tower companies, all the carriers.
Well, it doesn't, at the end of the day,
Yeah.
it sounds like town council is going to take
But you
Thank you.
hired them. with Rob
Years ago, I'm
as,
not,
as an independent firm. I think they're still independent, so
This is Centerline?
Centerline.
Yeah.
from
Sure,
Colorado.
I wouldn't mind a third party to come in, but you're saying, I think that's town council's decision, not our decision. Is that correct?
What decision?
As to who does these studies, these two studies that have been recommended by
I plan to
P&Z.
contact Centerline and ask them if they can update their report.
Okay.
Because, they were previously considered independent. I don't know.
And they would they be looking at alternatives to, I know Commissioner Radman said, he wanted somebody to look at, many, Oh,
Crown
you
Castle
can-
and everybody before. Centerline, I'm sure will confirm that DOS does not work in New Canaan, just like Crown Castle did. So anyway, so I haven't talked to Centerline yet. But I think, I have no reason not to consider them independent as they were chosen before to be independent.
But you're going to follow the lead of town council with respect to that determination. In
If
terms
they
of
don't think they're independent,
Okay,
we
yeah,
can
good.
take a different direction, but
Okay.
I don't know why you,
If,
I have no.
I'm not saying you're not,
I
I'm
have
just
no- I
saying,
have no brief for this firm at all. I don't know
Okay.
who they are. They're out in Colorado and.
Okay.
They did it the first time when
They
they were.
did it the
independent,
first
yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And actually, talking to Ray Vergati, it's probably going to be, it's probably a pretty easy job. There's been no new infrastructure. So their study stands, I think is what they're going to say.
So in
Well,
addition to Centerline, there was also, and I don't, maybe Centerline did it, but we also did a townwide survey
right,
in
Right.
terms of needs and so forth. Do you think we'll update that as well?
Well, that-
I'd recommend that.
All that really did was indicate in 2012.
Demand,
This is
yeah.
2012,
Yes.
even prior to. That maybe the first thing this Utilities Commission did in 2012. And it found that 40% of the town was using Verizon, 40% of the town was using AT&T,
Yeah.
15% was using T-Mobile, and 5% were using Sprint. That was one of the findings of the study, which I suppose is probably not going to be too much different than today.
And
and I think usage is going to be off the charts more than it was in 12 or 17.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that's an important.
And the
factor. And the
demand.
other thing is just, it's
The-
not just looking at the Verizon coverage, but coverage,
Oh,
all in for
that's-
all.
That's the key that,
Right.
as Ray Vergati indicated, both AT&T and T-Mobile will join any tower that's put in any part of town, really. So.
Did they come up with there was some conversation about potentially limiting the number of providers per tower.
I think they
Did they
came
come up-
out that there would be for all four, I
All four.
believe,
Okay,
having watched it 2 or 3 times.
okay, yeah.
I think that was.
Okay.
Because otherwise, the risk benefit, it's
Yeah.
just, you're better off having
Yeah.
4 and then fewer towers if you have a tower.
I would just say the survey itself, just in terms of demand and need and so forth, is pretty easy to do. It's 10 years old. And I would recommend that at least, that part of the process is done. We
Agreed.
can say we've done that. And so I don't know how it was done 12 years or 10 years ago, but I
I
would.
think we have
recommend it.
time. I mean, you're saying that you're envisioning potentially 2
Yeah.
public hearings, which I think is great.
Yeah, exactly. We've said we will have as many public hearings as it
Yeah.
takes to answer all the questions. A lot of questions were answered last week.
No, I
Yeah.
thought that was very well
Yeah,
done.
it was a good, it was a good meeting.
And the thrilling thing is that Verizon wants to invest in the town. I mean, they haven't been I've been critical of them for being missing in action for the past 5 years. And all of a sudden, they're showing up. So, which is great news.
I'm good.
Anything further?
Nope.
Okay. I move your adjourn at 9:21.
Second year.
Aye.
Okay. Have a good day, everyone.
You too.